Hello folks, Bronco Bob here, and I'm proud to show you a 1947 Ford pickup. This truck has been in the same family for over 40 years, and when I acquired it about 4 years ago, the flathead motor was out of it and it was taken apart, and it just needed to be kind of put back together. This truck's in amazing condition as far as the body. There's no rust. There's a little bit of surface rust underneath, but there's no rot. It's really, really solid. The tailgate's in excellent shape. There's a few dents right on the top rail. And this little contraption on the back is for feeding the cows. You slide that up and you can kick the grain out of the tailgate. So it was evidently a farm truck somewhere in its life. But the previous owner was a military pilot, and he was in Germany for several years, him and his wife, and they actually took the truck over to Germany and drove it around there for a couple of years. It does have disc brakes on the front. And as I mentioned, when I got the truck, it had a 4-speed transmission, which it still has. It's like the Ford, I believe they call it the top loader 4-speed. They put some aftermarket gauges, a sun tachometer. The seat has been recovered in kind of a OD green with tan piping. And the little truck just, even you can see around here, this is not all full of Bondo. It's all steel. The fenders are steel. The running boards are steel. There is some cracking in the paint. Like on top of this fender, you can kind of see some trash in it. Going around, you can see a little surface rust right here. This is the worst part of the paint. This fender's got quite a bit of cracking, and that's probably some primer. But up underneath, it's very, very solid. I did replace the tires, and I had the factory rims powder coated silver. It's better than spray painting them. It just holds up longer. Put some mud grips on the back like you'd see on an old farm truck. But you can see underneath, it's pretty amazing. But I had a motor that I got from a friend of mine. It was in an early Bronco, and it came from a 1970 Pantera. It's a 325 horsepower 351 Cleveland 4-barrel. It was all rebuilt to stock specifications, and I've been saving this motor for many, many years. I've got a basement, and I kept it in dry storage, hoping to find the right Mustang or some kind of car to put it in. Well, when I got a chance to own this truck, I decided this motor would be perfect. It really makes it run good. It pulls it around real nice. It's just a neat combination. I'm going to start it and let you hear it. It has the old foot starter, but that's not currently hooked up. There's a little lever here you push. It's got an electric fuel pump. It's got dual exhausts. And I love the old cab vents that pop up. It blows air right down on your feet. It's really pretty cool. Spare tires intact. The Uniroyal spare is very old and got a lot of cracks in it. It says Fleet Master Deep Lug. But since the spare was a mud grip, I thought putting mud grips on the back would be appropriate. It's even got a 1947 Ford truck license plate. The exhaust is new. You can hear that 351 rumble. And it does have a posi trac in the rear, which on a muddy road is a big help. This fender was recently repainted. It had a scrape on the bottom. The cab was painted many, many years ago. It's got some cracks. So I would kind of call it a truck that's been painted around on a little bit. It's got the old indention here. Instead of having the door handle, you grab that right there to close it. And this gas cap is an old Ford, and the key says Briggs & Stratton on it. That's a really old locking gas cap. It's got the metal bed. It's got the old Ford heater. And there's one of the data tags, 4,700 pounds. Got the VIN number on it. They still put those in the glove box of the early Broncos. It's got old rear view mirrors that kind of hard to see out of. But overall, it's a really cool truck. It runs strong. That 351 Cleveland powers the truck very, very well. The front grille was kind of a yellowish color or a tan, and I had it powder coated silver. The carburetor's been rebuilt. It's got electronic ignition. The motor runs superb. Some of the paint on the hood is a little bit oxidized, and it still has the military sticker on the windshield for getting in and out of the base. The 1947 Ford. This truck's been to Germany and back. And as I mentioned, it does have disc brakes. They're not power, but they are disc. The tires are new. It's just a cool piece of history with a sweet motor. And there's a lot of tricks you can do to that motor to make it, you can get it up to 400 horse with a bigger cam, do a little head work, but it runs plenty good for a 1947 Ford pickup. And I took a bunch of pictures underneath. It's got some interesting things like one of the body mounts, both of them are wood blocks with a spring mechanism so that the cab can flex on the frame, and it all looks original equipment. And the shocks, I believe they call them Girling style. They've got a little swing arm on them and a little hydraulic cylinder. Pretty interesting, kind of some old school engineering. And this truck has a factory locking steering column. I have the key for it, and I had a locksmith look at it. He said it was something he just couldn't fix. But it's got this little lever right here. It flips across, and that's where the key goes in. It's got the Ford embossed horn button. It does have an aftermarket turn signal setup. Of course, back in the day, these trucks didn't have turn signals, and the turn signals do not work. But the headlights, taillights work. It's got the old chains on the tailgate. Gives it a little bit of patina. But I love how she sounds. And really, the manual disc brakes, they stop the truck pretty good. It's not real heavy. You can see the headlights and the side marker lights working. It does have a upgraded aluminum radiator and the old original style steel bumper. But it's a good little truck for running around town. It does have some power. I'll do a driving video. I'll need to get an assistant to hold the camera, and we can run it through the gears. But she runs good and she looks good. Have a great day. I'm Bronco Bob, wishing you happy trails.